Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is my favorite time of year. Why? Because I get to make my gingerbread house, which I love doing. And this tutorial is actually going to be two parts. This video is going to show you how to make the actual gingerbread house cookies, and then in my next tutorial I'm going to show you how to decorate. So if you've bought a pack that has the ready baked pieces, you can go ahead and look at my next tutorial on the decorating to get some ideas. But if you want to challenge yourself and make it from scratch, then here is the tutorial. As always, the recipe is in the description box below, so let's get started. What I've got here is my butter in my saucepan, and into the butter goes my brown sugar and the golden syrup. So the brown sugar is going to give that lovely caramelization to the cookies, and the golden syrup that amazing sweetness. Now, you can do this in the microwave. I don't actually have a microwave, which is why I've got a saucepan, but the idea is to melt this all together. So while the butter, syrup and sugar is melting, I can prepare my dry ingredients. So in my bowl, I've got some plain flour, and to this I'm going to add my bicarbonate of soda and ginger and cinnamon. And just mix that together so it's fully combined. So I like using a combination of cinnamon and ginger. You can just use the ginger, you can use mixed spice. But using ginger always makes me laugh, because for those who watched one of my videos from a few years ago where I baked with my nephews and I gave the ginger to one of my nephews to smell, he didn't sniff in, he breathed out, and we had ginger all over the kitchen. So every time I smell ginger, I think of that moment. So now the sugar, syrup and butter has completely melted down, I can now pour this straight into the dry ingredients. Gorgeous rich brown color from the dark sugar, and it already smells delicious. And now I'm going to start mixing it into the flour, and it should quickly come together as a dough. But I am going to start using a spatula because it's quite sticky and still a bit warm to do it with my hands. And you'll notice there's no egg in this recipe, unlike regular gingerbread cookies. Because this is for a house, it's designed to last a long time and be strong. And if there's egg, the cookie's softer, and also the cookie won't last as long because of the egg. So this recipe is amazing to not only build the house, but to last the few weeks leading up to Christmas. So the majority of flour is mixed in. So now I'm just going to finish it off with my hands and bring all the dough together. And then once it's fully combined, I can turn it onto the table and bring it all together. So to roll out this dough is a little bit different to a regular dough. I'm not going to flour the surface because this dough tends to get quite dry. I don't want to add more flour because it will dry out the dough even more. So what I'm going to do is actually use 2 pieces of baking paper. And I'm not going to roll out all the dough at the same time. I'm going to roughly divide it into half. And place the dough on one sheet. And I'm just going to squash it down a little bit. It will just help that initial roll. And then I'm going to get my second piece of paper and place it on top. And then use my rolling pin to roll it out. And this is because, like I said, I don't want to add extra flour, which usually prevents it from sticking to the rolling pin. But if I go on without the second paper, the rolling pin will stick to the dough. So this is a great way of rolling the dough out without adding extra flour. I'll keep rotating it and rolling it until it's about 1/2 centimeter thick, and I just want as large a surface area as possible because I've got quite a few shapes to cut out. So I'm keeping the pressure the same on my rolling pin, side to side and up and down. Just going to check the thickness. That looks pretty good. You don't want it too thin because you want your house to stand up. And you can see the paper comes off really easily. So now it's time to cut out your shape. So if you want, and again up for the challenge, you can actually design your own house and cut out templates and trace around them. But if you want to be on the easier side, you could do what I do and use a gingerbread house cutter set. So this one's from LissieLou. Again, I've put the link below for this in the description box. And it comes with the front of the house, the side, and a roof, and some windows, doors as well. So it's really easy and I don't need to worry about making my own templates. Now, the idea is that I want to cut out as many shapes as possible using the one sheet of dough, because this dough doesn't do so well when you re-roll it out. So I'm going to try and use this space as best as I can, starting with one of the ends of the houses. I can put here and press down. And I know I'll need 2 walls. So just based on the spacing, I've done one of each main shape. So one end of the house, 1 wall and 1 roof. And then on the next sheet, I'll do the same because we need 2 of each piece. And I'm going to cut out a door for the front of my house. And because I've got a little space here, I might as well use it and cut a shape. So I've got a snowflake here. And I may use it on the house, I may not, but I don't want to waste any dough. Now I can take away all this excess dough. You can see how crumbly it is already. It tends to happen. And then what I sometimes like to do with the shapes is just use a knife and neaten up the edges. Just by pushing the edges back into the dough or cutting away any bits that weren't cut out from the cutters. And the last thing is that I want to cut out windows in some of the shapes. So I'm going to cut out a circle at the top of the front of the house. Should come out. And then also where the door will be, I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. Actually, that could be the door. I've got a spare door just in case. And then on the wall, I'm going to cut out 2 small windows. So now I'm going to carefully slide this onto a baking tray. And you want to make sure that the pieces are extremely flat. So I can see that the door is actually on a slant, so I'm going to move it a little bit. Let's trim this in case I need another one. So that's the first sheet done. Like I said, I need 2 of each shape. So I'm gonna roll out the second half of the dough exactly the same way and cut out the shapes again. So I've got my 2 sheets with all my pieces on. Now, like I said, the already used dough gets a bit tough. Now you can re-roll this out, but it tends to crack. So try and do your big pieces with the fresh dough, and then you could do smaller decorations with the used dough. Or I've also found in the past that if you reheat the dough, if you have a microwave, you can put it in the microwave for 10 to 20 seconds. It loosens up a bit and it's easier to roll out. So if you did want to reuse this dough for whatever purpose, then go ahead. But my pieces are done, so these are going to bake between 10 to 12 minutes in a 180 Celsius oven. And I want them to just be set. We're not looking for too much color. Remember, the dough's quite dark anyway. So we want to bake them until they're just set. So I'm gonna set my timer for 10 minutes and then check on them. Wow, my kitchen smells amazing right now. So these only took 10 minutes in the end, so it's a good thing I checked then. And I even saw that the edge of this biscuit here is starting to catch. So it's really important to know how your oven works. Maybe your trays need rotating halfway through. So really keep an eye on it because this does not take long to bake. So the idea is that we're gonna leave these to completely cool before taking them off the trays. Reason being is because they are still soft. And if you try and pick one up now, it's going to break. So I'm going to leave them for about 5 to 10 minutes to cool completely before taking them off the trays. So the pieces are completely cool now, and you can see how easily they lift off the tray. And I'm just gonna place them on a cooling rack in case there is any leftover heat. I want the heat to escape from the bottom as well. If they stay on the paper, they could get moist again. 2 doors. My extra decorations here. The reindeer turned out really nicely too. So it is a great dough because it really keeps its shape. You saw how the pieces didn't spread or anything, which is why it's such a good dough for a house. You can use it for regular cookies too. I just personally prefer the recipe that has egg in as well. So there we go, that is how you make your gingerbread for your gingerbread houses. Again, the recipe is in the description box below. I hope you found this tutorial helpful and I can't wait to see your creations, especially if you make your own templates, so don't forget to tag me. And stay tuned for my next tutorial where I show you how to transform these plain biscuits into a magical Christmassy gingerbread house. Hope you enjoyed it and we'll see you next time.